They say that they sick of the fake. I'm hardly seeing them praising the real. Yeah, ayy, yeah, ayy. Yeah, turn that shit up, nigga. Yeah, ayy, shit. Whoa, whoa, yeah, ayy. Rolling my weed up. Used to kick back with my feet up, plotting, observing my options. I know they watching, singing my songs, it's an opera. Healing your soul, I'm a doctor. I get the feeling away, and I'm right back in my ways. Yeah, just like a warrior, no. I gotta aim for the throat. Niggas ain't living, they coping. Knowing the shit, I'm a cold, and they call me the coldest, the cold me the goat. Fucking opinion, I'm young and I'm eating. These niggas be tweaking, they over the coat. Skinny couldn't hold a penny, popping out the city, getting nitty gritty, getting to it, going stupid, money moving, paying someone else to do it. Man, my life a movie. Yeah, investor in cool, but I still fuck with Cuba. She right for me, I'm linking like she was from Cuba. Goody, I did what they couldn't deserve me a cookie. I'm probably gon' tax on the booking. I know they looking, the sun gon' shine. I'm going for blood, I'm taking what's mine. Out of your mind to think we compare. You left your dreams up in the air. I brought mine down, damn we up now. Funny how it all balance out. Like less doubt, let the blowing up. And too many fucks, let the fucking up. I don't like to keep it clean cut, cause this world is dirty, get the switching up. Come on homie, put the switcher down and get some real green for the summer up. Cause we outside again. I'm in that vibe again. Hey. I get the feeling away, then I'm right back in my ways. Yeah, just like a warrior, no. I gotta aim for the throat. Niggas ain't living, ain't choking. Emo with lies to figure out I'm frozen, but not like my niggas that big and polar. Pull up, they catching the odor. It smell like success when I walk the shoulder. Weight of the world on me with the dead homies. Only God knows I was built for it. Move forward, man. I can't afford to be bullshitting like a 90s Jordan. Yeah. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B, watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond that everyday bullshit. And I'm going live because a nigga ain't got enough storage on his phone and stuff like that. Also, you know what I'm saying, like I said, we keeping up with the regiment, staying or going live more often and stuff like that. So, you know, last couple days, again, making my way to it. It's a process, and I think that kind of speaks for where we at in general right now when it comes to the energies going on in the sky. So you already know the moon in Scorpio, sun in Aries. I spoke a little bit about this in a previous video, but to get more in depth, because you know, when you think about these energies, and I didn't realize until I kind of looked again, I was like, damn, it's a lot more water in the sky than I thought. You know what I'm saying? We got Mars, Venus, Saturn and Neptune all in Pisces, and then you got the moon in Scorpio. So, you know, in a lot of ways, not only that, right? You know, of course, we've been talking about eclipse season and all that stuff, but you know, what is that all really? Well, you already know with the full moon, it's not just a one-day thing. You know, the full moon, these are astrological events that last, that have lingering effects. You know what I'm saying? So you figure, yeah, the full moon might have happened, the eclipse might have happened, but we still experiencing after, you know, say like aftermath, you know what I'm saying, where we have to kind of consider like, damn, okay, what did that energy propel me into? Like what did that energy push and start to show me as far as what my new reality is? Because, you know, with the lunar, with any eclipse, it's clipsing you out of previous state of being into a new one, and you really don't have much control other than your initial intent and your willingness to have that I guess you could call it clarity with what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And again, you either being intentional or reactionary. You know what I'm saying? There's no in between. You either doing things with intention, knowing what you're doing, or you're reacting to things. You know what I'm saying? You're reacting to reality going around you. And we all have to, you know, keep in mind, look, we create this shit, right? So if you're not using your power to create it, you letting it be created for you. And a lot of what's going on right now, like I said, you might not, the average person might not see where their actions now actually contribute to where they're finna be in the next 5 years and what they might have open to them as far as an opportunity. But you know, everything counts. I mean, I'm talking 5 years, but I mean, even in the next 5 months, you know, so when we hit the fall season and stuff like that, we get prepared for the harvest of this year. All those energies, what we do now is highly dependent, like what we are able to do then is highly dependent on how we navigate our world right now. You know what I'm saying? And right now, the sun is face to face with Chiron in the North Node. So a lot of us have decisions to make. The eclipse kind of made it to where you almost didn't have a choice. Like, it was certain things that you just couldn't hide no more. Things that had to come to the surface that was like, oh damn, I guess it is what it is. But all of that, still, you have a choice to either pursue that and live your truth, or hide from that shit, tuck your tail, and you know, whatever happens, happens, and you just kind of look at it like a lost cause. Again, live a reactionary life, which I made a tweet. I was like, man, when you live in reactionary, shit is exhausting. That's when you really get exhausted. That's when life is draining you, you know, when you are letting things happen to you, versus when you choose to get up and make a change. It might feel, the irony is, on the front end, it feel like you doing more. It feel like it's taking a lot more energy. But the truth is, when you're initiating shit, when you are on top of, and again, we all have different, you know, it's impossible to think you can maintain a certain high energy level all the time, 100%. You know what I'm saying? We have them certain days where we wake up and it's like, yo, I can do anything. And you know, those are the days you need to take advantage of. But there are just as many, if not more, days where you feel mundane, and it's up to you to decide what you do with that day, with the energy you do have. You know what I'm saying? If you always wait for a high energy day to do everything you need to do as far as your responsibilities, your goals, your dreams, you're never really going to get there. You're never going to make that progress. You know, and it really does come down to consistency, and we all have to find our own consistent flow of things. And see, the moon opposite some of that Taurus energy is kind of revealing that to you. You know what I'm saying? You kind of seeing where, damn, like, it's kind of hard to keep consistent in this area. Why is that? Your emotional state, it kind of show you. And there's different things kind of hitting in the message where you can you can transform your emotional state to be more suited to handle those different waves as they come. Because, you know, that's the fact of the matter. It's like these different waves come, and there's not really much you can do about it other than acknowledge it, be aware of it, and then choose to engage with it the way you want to engage with it, by, again, initiating your own feeling towards it, deciding what you want to act on, what you want to keep consistent, or what you don't want to continue. You know what I'm saying? So these different things is ways that you can kind of navigate, you know, those interconnected systems going on with whatever you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, everything kind of depends on the next thing. Hold on. Everything kind of depends on the next thing as far as you know, progression and things of that nature. You miss one step, the next couple steps might be a little fucked up, just based upon you not taking account of, you know, again, everything is a process. Everything is a progress. You know, things don't just happen instantaneous. But getting into the energies, like I spoke a little bit about, you know, the different alignments that the moon is making, but to reiterate, the moon in Scorpio, or well, matter of fact, let's start with the sun. The sun in Aries being face to face with the North Node and Chiron. Right now, it's kind of like one of those times where you could easily slip back into old ways. That's why I played the song I got, Back in My Ways. And Color Grade 4 is going to be on streaming services. It should be up by the weekend. I posted it up. It's either going to be, you know, I don't know, like, you know, with the streaming services, they take a while sometimes. So it should be up by the weekend, but if it might be a couple days off. But I'm gonna make an announcement when it is up. But when it comes to you know, when it comes to this shit, you got so we got, like I said in the song, I get to feeling the way, then I'm right back in my ways. Right now, there's a lot of feelings in the sky. Like, when we think about, like I said, there's a great deal of water, but then there's the fire energy, right? And the thing about the fire energy and how we can utilize that Aries energy beneficial for us. See, all of these are the both sides of Mars, right? Both sides of Mars. I was gonna say both sides of Aries, but these are the two sides of Mars. The day side is in the sun, and the moon side is in and the night side is in the moon. So these are war tactics. In a sense, this energy needs to be prepared. Like, you got to look at this energy like the perfect blend of energies to prepare you for war. And what are you going to war against? You're going to war against your old self, outdated concepts, past shit,
things that look like some of your mistakes, things that look like um it took you off your spiritual path, things that look like it has no place in where you're going. And see, that's very important, as far as like, even before we was talking about being intentional. The eclipse and things of that nature brought a bunch of things that might have looked like a bunch of things piling on your plate. But again, it's up to you to decide whether or not you're gonna make something with that stuff on your plate, or if you're just gonna allow, any and everything to happen, if you're just gonna let it all crumble, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're gonna let, like I said, be reactionary to it and just accept what's on your plate for that. Or are you gonna kind of look at what's on your plate and decide, okay, instead of just eating everything and getting super full and getting, letting myself get carried away and just overwhelmed with everything on my plate, am I going to do that, or am I going to choose what I actually want to engage with? What I, say, if you're looking at a plate of food, what am I actually going to eat? What do I need to put on the side, maybe save later? You know what I'm saying? And that's a metaphor for you deciding, like, okay, again, being intentional. I'm a attack this, I'm gonna deal with this, and I'm gonna put this to the side, because at this point, we're only in the springtime. Like, I mean, it's a new year. So you got to look at everything as far as like long terms, you know what I'm saying? Or, I mean, how you look at your life is how you look at it. But for the most part, if you try to rush everything right now, chances are you're gonna find yourself stumbling and falling before the race even start, or over exalting yourself, because the sun is exalted here in Aries, or find yourself in a situation where you get involved in a bunch of stuff that when the Mercury retrograde kicks in, you're gonna kind of be like, damn, I didn't even have to do all that. I could have just did XYZ. I could have just did this. And that's kind of those situations where, damn, now I got to backtrack. Now I got to go back to square one. Now I got to go retrace my steps and get back on the path that looks like my path. Right now, distractions is at an all-time high. All these news stories, these things are preparing everybody's mind for everything that they're about to introduce come election season. And then when we get closer to July, these is when these bigger news stories that affect your ability to kind of like, that's when certain things start to pop off in terms of, affecting every, kind of how, like, if we did look at certain stuff like with COVID and stuff, right? When you look at, by the time it got to the summertime, those are the things that affected your ability to have like mobility. Basically, it affected your ability to really engage with anybody. By the time it got to the summertime, everything they introduced in March was just the kind of planting seeds to get you kind of like curious and get the topic going and to get the reactions of the people. By the summertime is usually when they're trying to enforce something to stay consistent throughout in order to take us into the fall. So, and that's basic. I mean, if you, as an alchemist, you should already kind of know that flow. If you're doing things in your own life right now, this is the time to plant seeds. So that lets you know in your own personal life what you kind of need to be engaging with anyway. You need to be whatever it is that and remember, coming off the last new moon of last year into this one, right? And we're approaching the new moon. That's going to be the new moon in Aries. And that's really going to be that setting off point of this new year, the first new moon of the new year. That's when you really need to be doing this in full effect. But right now, even, right now is the time where we have to be planting the seeds. You have to be speaking and what are we planting the seeds of? We're planting the seeds of our new self in this new world. That's all that we developed back last year, our new self. So now we're our new self in this new world, this new age. What are we going to do to introduce that? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like we have to introduce ourselves all over again, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's time to take it a little bit serious, you know what I'm saying? A little bit more serious than you might have been taking it in the past. You might have still been going through the Pisces energy and still waiting on things to pop off. But right here and now, again, especially with this alignment in the sky, these are the war energies. And we have to go to war with old, outdated parts of ourselves that just can no longer travel with us. And these might look like people, places, and things in your life. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people kind of switching up their habits and stuff. And that's great. You know what I'm saying? You need to develop a new relationship with the things that you enjoy, the things that you participate with. Because if you don't, these will be the very same things that keep you captive, aka keep you in that same loop, keep you from developing and becoming who you're supposed to be in this new time and who God needs you to be. You know what I'm saying? You being yourself, but part of being yourself is knowing what your purpose is. And knowing what your purpose is, this is your conversation with yourself to get on that plane to be like, okay, yeah, this is what part of my mission is. And again, when you're doing things, when you letting God work through you, you already in a certain space where, you know, you really don't got anything to worry about. Like, certain worries and things come to you on the surface, but in all actuality, it's like you start to realize that, like, if I'm doing things for God and I'm operating from that space and letting God work through me, the things that seem like stuff to worry about and stress about, they start to become things that you realize later down the line, like, damn, okay, it's kind of like, because for instance, right, being that we're in the middle of a transition, it's very difficult, or it may be very difficult to see the purpose in parts of the process right now that seem like we're exhausted by. Like, for instance, you might be at a job that's supporting you at the moment, and you're already making adjustments to get into a new space. You've been doing this for a while. We're in the new year now. So it's like, okay, cool. We in the new year. You ready for new things to happen. So you're planting seeds, but along with planting those seeds comes the distractions, comes everything that's kind of making you look at your current circumstance and say, well, damn, God, if I'm doing this for you and I'm letting you work through me, why am I still going through the same bullshit? Why do I still have to go to this job I hate? Why do I still have to do these things that I don't want to participate in? And the thing about it is, you know, you have to wait for the time. It's like timing. You know what I'm saying? And remember, this is year 8. Everything comes down to timing. This year, patience is extremely important, because you have to allow the current phase you in to complete itself before you're able to properly move on to the next phase. It's kind of like every now and then we start to want to prematurely jump into the next phase, because especially in this day and age, so many things that we go through, it's like instant gratification. That's the new addiction, like instant gratification. I can do this and then I could jump to this. I can work here for a year and then be a millionaire tomorrow. It's like life just don't work like that. And in a year 8 especially, like if this was a different kind of year with a different kind of energy, maybe things would move faster. But this is a year where it's extremely important to understand what's building up and being able to kind of maintain a space and position for an extended period of time without getting too giddy and ready to jump to the next one. Because the second you try to, you know, jump to this place, jump to that place, you miss steps. And that's the problem with most of things in this world right now. It's like you can't miss steps. You can't shortcut. You can't cut corners, because those things are needed for you to develop the full mentality or ability to be able to handle the next step. You know what I'm saying? So it's highly important that you kind of slow down with everything you're doing. And see, like I said, right now is us preparing for war, because we have to go to war with these processes. The sun is face to face with our past mistakes, our current mistakes in general, being next to Chiron, and then our North Node, everything that makes us feel uncomfortable or that we know is unfamiliar, that we're moving towards into. So the moon just left the South Node. The moon was kind of reminding you of our relationship to things in our past. And so it's like, damn, okay, these things being clipped out. And see, a lot of what we're leading up to, like I said, that new moon, that first new moon of the new year in the new world, these things is kind of, again, that's going to be the solar eclipse that pairs with this energy. So with that in itself, it's already a situation where it's like, okay, damn, you might think the eclipse is over, but really that was just the setup to set the circumstance and set the playing field for what you need to actually propel yourself into coming in on the 8th when the solar eclipse happens, because that'll be where the sun is eclipsed and where there's nothing that at that point, if you're not acting on authenticity, then again, you're gonna be in a situation where you're being drained, you're being reactionary, things are being thrown at you, and you're forced to just handle it based upon you not standing up for yourself and speaking what it is that you want to see for your life, because this is the new you that you're reintroducing within this new world. So it's like very important, like I said, with this energy, that you speak up. Again, these war energies is helping you put together the mentality to know how to go to war with things that confront you with the old you. Basically, you're gonna be experiencing a bunch of things trying to pull a mirror to you and say, hey, you remember this? This is basically treating you with a mirror to your face. Like, remember this? This the old shit you used to do. And this is a result of that. And again, like I said about phases, what we're moving into has to be what we just, it's like I said before, intentional. It's like what we're moving into has to be you putting full force into that new space, not allowing the distractions and things of that nature take you back into the old ways of being. You know what I'm saying? Based upon how you feel. Now, the moon in Scorpio is doing a trine with Saturn. This is the gift to stabilize how we feel in reality. Now, it's reality in terms of Pisces, so it might not be so rooted to what you physically see around you. This is way more about your internal state and what's real to you. And see, if you're not being honest with yourself, and that's really what the moon needs from you right now, because the moon falls in Scorpio, but the sun is exalted. So what happens is you can either be at war with yourself based upon you holding on to a grudge, which can literally lead to illness, you know what I'm saying, by holding on to that energy and creating this aura within you. Or you can be at war with yourself in the sense of, in a positive way, transforming yourself and using that moon alignment with Uranus to accept change, even though it might hurt emotionally. And see, the irony of it is you might fear going that far to that extent emotionally to transform, but you'll see, as you play these energies out, the people, places, and things that belong in your space, they may not understand in the way that you expect them to, or maybe even want them to. But if they truly are meant to be in your space, they'll be receptive to whatever it is that you're expressing. And that receptivity, right, whether it leads to a conflict or it leads to, it's like it'll be able to be resolved, because if they belong in your life, this new representation of yourself on some level will make sense, and in some way maybe even relate in their mind, to where they can say, okay, well, they'll choose to still want to be around that energy. And see, you don't need to be around anybody you can't speak your mind with anyway, you know what I'm saying, in general. But see, right now, it's way more potent right now for, you know, you speaking your mind. Because I'd say the main reason for that is kind of like I was saying before, the North Node being here, right, on the sun. So everything we act on, right, is either looking like you moving towards that spiritual path, or you moving away from it. And if you're not speaking your mind, if you're not able to speak your mind, if you don't even feel like you can, you're not even going to be in a position to plant the right seeds to lead to anything fruitful come the harvest. So again, this is kind of like more of a thing for yourself to make sure that you're on track to be where you're supposed to be. There's a lot of people who might still be, again, the full moon in Libra energy might have had them passive going into the full moon in Scorpio. I mean, going into the moon in Scorpio as an aftermath of the full moon. You could have took that passive, how do you say that word? Passivity, you know what I'm saying? You could have took that passive energy and took it into the Scorpio realm, which is keeping your mouth shut behind closed doors, keeping secrets. But these secrets is not positive secrets that leads, like a positive secret would be like something that you instill in yourself to motivate you to change, to motivate you to go harder. You know, what wakes you up out the bed in the morning, the deep desire you have to be whatever you want to be. Negative secrets, though, could look like you choosing to not speak your mind because you're afraid of how somebody's going to react to it. Again, moon trining a lot of that Pisces energy, things can get mixed up. You could think that the right thing to do is to hold your mouth shut and just let whatever happen because you're too afraid to, you know, to deal with the aftermath or the results of you saying what your truth is, saying what's truly on your heart. That's on you. And that's one of the biggest mistakes and ways that we go against ourselves in life, by not speaking our piece, by not saying what it is that, because speaking your piece is speaking your piece of all possibilities. If you can't do that, God literally cannot trust you, because God knows, just like you know deep down inside, if you were in a position where you had to, you would fall short. You would choose not to. If something were to happen in which you had to speak your truth and God really needed you to, you would let yourself and God down. And really, when you letting God down, you letting yourself down, because a lot of what's happening in that process is, again, you not speaking your truth. You not playing your role in life. You're not living life. You're not going through the experiences. You got to go through the experiences to be able to hold the wisdom to teach the next person. But if you're not speaking your mind, you're not manifesting those opportunities to be where you're supposed to be at the right time, right place, to be able to have an effect on the next person, to spark their mind, to have a thought that they can get closer to their peace. So you kind of let yourself down, but you let everybody down by not being yourself. You let literally everybody down. When you look at it like that, certain things start to become more, you know what I'm saying? When you look at it like that, you start to realize, okay, damn, yeah, I'm a little more important. And again, importance, not in the sense of ego, but important. It's like how we say, you know, everybody's special. Everybody has a gift. Like, beyond that, on a deeper level, right? Some people use that for ego, but really on a spiritual sense, you know, you hold a very important piece to the puzzle by you just being yourself. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things in the world right now, we see a lot of lack of authenticity in the world and stuff like that, as far as what's promoted. You know, everything that's popular right now, we see, even with all these court cases and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? You see that be the result of just a bunch of bullshit being able to be sanctioned. And now we seeing the crumbling of all that. And see, you don't realize, like, all of that shit is a representation of a big ass vacuum that literally is waiting for you to come with your unique energy and be somebody in that space, to dominate that space and say, oh shit, this is how the world could be. This is how the world can be. Now you changing the world. Now you are influenced. Now you somebody that other people can respect in a space that they can say, hey, we can actually live our lives in a better way. You know what I'm saying? Because in that space of you being your authentic self, you holding something that, you know what I'm saying, nobody else can take from you, basically. You know what I'm saying? And this is just you being yourself in that in that space, in that true space, in that authentic space, you know. But before we even get there, that's why right now is important. Like I said, going to war with outdated frames of mind, outdated belief systems, outdated ways of self. It's like all these different things is very important for us to kind of take heed to. So the moon in Scorpio, again, trine in Saturn. So the reality of how we feel and what we need, the reality of what we actually need to transform on an emotional level. Moon trine in Mars, the gift to actually have the motivation, passion to adjust belief systems, but also to, when it comes to our passions and what we're trying to do, right? Also, Mars next to Saturn, like right now we have a very strong opportunity to organize and structure our passions in a way that can lead towards something being built, something being substantial, something actually working in reality when it comes to our dreams. Remember, dreams and imaginations, Saturn being there, we've already been in a space where we're trying to make sense out of our dreams and trying to structure things through our dreams, right? Mars being there is giving you the extra oomph to actually put action in that space. The sun in Aries wants you to plant seeds in that area, right? And it's all back to supported by that Pluto and Aquarius energy, which needs us to be communicating and getting things together with our communities. So right now, there's kind of like everything kind of plays onto each other. On one end, on a personal level, we need to be able to make these transformations so that we can be in a place to actually properly communicate what it is that we're trying to push as far as a dream, imagination, and the faith that we hold in the ability for these things to get done needs to be consistent as well. You know, that might be the hardest thing to do at the moment. Keep the faith, even though everything around you is looking like, damn, why am I still going through the trials and tribulations? I thought I was already putting in the work. Why am I still going through this? And it's like the answer is, hey, we in the year 8, meaning if you want long-term results, you're going to have to put long-term work in it. If you're not willing to put in the work, then it don't really matter like what it is you want. It's not going to last. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to last you the time in which you would hope it would last you. It's going to be here, there, going tomorrow. And at this point in time, like anything that happens too fast in the year 8 is not going to sustain itself, because there's not enough energy in it for it to, again, like I said, using the word sustainable this whole year. Sustainability is kind of one of the key factors of things on whether or not you need to participate in something or whether you need to just kind of take your energy out of it. If it's not sustainable, it's not really something for you to be wasting too much time in, just regardless. You feel me? So along with this energy, you know, different things that we're experiencing right now, you might be feeling that intensity. You might be feeling that little feisty energy coming from just the sun and moon and Aries. I mean, sun and Aries, moon and Scorpio. That's kind of putting you in that space of you might either want to go to war with others, but see, that's the thing. The energy is going to entice you to want to go to war with others. But what you really need to be doing is going to war with yourself, because what's triggering you right now is most likely coming from you not addressing something that's emotionally affecting you. Or, you know, say it's kind of like you could easily be dragged into reacting to something with that passion, with that anger. But if it's outside of you, you got to consider the fact that, wait, why, first of all, why is it triggering me? Because every emotion is like information. So why is it triggering me? Once you see, okay, this is the trigger, find that line of reasoning emotionally to be like, wait, hold on, that emotional pathway, right? Once you trace that, see where it kind of reflects an old, outdated way of expressing yourself. Because through that old way of expressing yourself, you can start to see, okay, these might be the emotional transformations I need to make in order to put me in a better headspace mentality for me to carry out what I need to carry out without getting distracted from all the bullshit going on in the world. Like I said before, distractions is at such an all-time high at the moment. You might not even realize where your energy is being ciphered. You know what I'm saying? Where your energy is being drained and redirected. Because basically, if you're not paying attention to the emotional waves going on, then you're not really able to take advantage of the energies in the proper way. See, when you unaware of the emotional side of what's going on, it's like you lacking the emotional intelligence. You not being able to process things. With the sun in Aries, the first thing that we're seeing is a mistake. So again, it leads you to either being more passive, not wanting to make a mistake. That's the negative end. Or it could lead you to want to act prematurely to prevent a mistake. And that's also negative too, so at a lot of times, because you might be trying to prevent something that wasn't even something that you needed to be trying to prevent. At the moment, you need to kind of find that middle ground where you can just like be what you like, express what you need to express as a boundary or whatever it is that you need to, as like a, because when we think about the Aries energy, it's like what the Aries energy really is doing, it's the first thought. It's kind of like the first spark of something. So he said, fight the right, real shit. She was trying to fight me. I was like, wait a minute. But for the most part, when you think of that Aries energy, it's that initial spark of something. So right now, again, it being the springtime, the time to plant seeds, it's like you want to plant the most pure seeds possible. You don't want to plant seeds that's riddled with, that's kind of riddled with old shit. that still got old reminiscences in it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to plant nothing right now that still looks like something that's going to suck you back into a cycle. And that's kind of what it really is. This is like you're going to war with outdated principles and ways of being and seeing things for the sake of breaking a cycle. This could be this the type of year that you want to break cycles, but to break a cycle, it takes an extreme amount of focus, and it also takes a whole lot of intention, because everything you do relies on your ability to switch a previous behavior that became a comfort zone. And that's really what I've been trying to get at. Like the moon in Scorpio, one of the gifts of it falling is that it forces you out of a comfort zone. They're like, you know, a Scorpio moon in general, an individual with that type of energy, you know, they're the first one to let you know, like, well, they might not let you know, but you know, once you get to know them, you realize they're in this constant war with themselves, whether it be to transform themselves. You know, that's really what it is. They're going through this constant transformation internally. So when you think about these energies as a transit and what the current times is kind of telling you and what we need to focus on in order to make a better tomorrow for ourselves, it's like the whole idea of it is, or the gift of it is, the fact that nobody's emotionally comfortable right now, but that emotional uncomfortability with that information, what about it do you need to transform in order to kind of create that space? Because it's like a process. Like if you don't make steps towards creating comfortability in uncomfortable situations, you're just going to remain uncomfortable. A lot of us would like to think that we can kind of put our hands up and say, well, eventually it'll just get better. But the truth of the matter is, it don't get better until you choose to make it better emotionally. Things don't feel better until you actually put in the work to feel something different about what you're experiencing. And a lot of times, you like when you think about depression and things of that nature, emotionally you're lacking movement. Emotionally you're not moving, you're not going into a new space. To be like, even happiness in the general, when we think of happiness and what it really means, to be happy is like that's something that you don't just maintain. Happiness is something that you have to conjure up. You have to like take this piece, and every day is a new set of pieces you have to use, or ingredients I should say, to concoct something that feels like happiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like when you think about it, it's like kind of like when you think about it, it's easy to be depressed, because all it is you sitting in one feeling long enough. If you sit in any feeling long enough, it's going to become depression, because it's just that feeling calcifying and weighing down on you. So eventually it's going to turn into depression. It's easy to be depressed. What's hard is that actually to create other emotions, ones that you want to feel, even when you think about being motivated to do something. You know what I'm saying? How we even say you can't wait to be motivated. You got to figure out how to be consistent with other energies, being able to take energies and get you up in the morning, to get you to that job, or to get you to doing what it is that you need to get done. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is not easy for anybody. But it's one of those things where, as a spirit, the stronger you get, the more you be on your path, the more you realize, like, damn, we all know your state of being. That's a location. You got to get up and move to that every day, because you might wake up on this side of the bed, you might wake up on that side of the bed. Who knows? Things happen in life too that take you in different directions. You be around people that be in different spaces that you might visit where they at, and they might be in a space that's real far away from where you need to be at. But if you can't tap into that and realize, oh damn, like I'm far away from where I need to be at, you kind of, this is where again you might need to go back to the drawing board and work on your protection spells, work on your ability to kind of take yourself and put yourself in those spaces, because that's kind of what was necessary. Even in the waning period, it is protection time. So all of this Mars energy in the sky, we need to figure out how to protect ourselves, preparing to go to war for the sake of feeling what we want to feel, for the sake of, and not just feeling what you want to feel, because it goes beyond feelings, but feelings is just the first step. It's like when you think of, when I say feelings, I really mean you're setting your mentality to be prepared to carry out your purpose. That's really what I'm talking about. Like going to war mentality, when I'm saying your feelings, I don't really mean just you and your feelings. I mean the mentality that's going to be necessary for you to continue to be consistent, to plant those seeds that you need to plant, to get yourself in those rooms that you need to be in at the right time, at the right place. You know what I'm saying? That is kind of the biggest fight, because so many different things can go on in life. It's hard to always put yourself in that mode. But see, this Mars energy has the potential to kind of prepare you to at least do the first part of that, which is being able to stand up for yourself and speak your mind. And when other people combat you with other doubts, their perspective, their mentality, and things of that nature, you're able to fight fire in that instance and say, hell no, I don't see it how you see it. Fuck that. I see it like this. And this is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to strive for, and this is what I'm aiming for. I know what I'm aiming at. It's you to have more precision on where it is that you're going so that you can protect yourself. Because even like, shout out to Saint Uno, like saying, you know, having a purpose in general or a mission is your protection, because it keeps you away from wasting time in the third dimensional world doing who knows what. Things that don't pertain to you actually being better, growing as a spirit, learning new things and seeing things that you need to see. You know what I'm saying? Being in the places that God needs you at. You know, if you don't got no purpose, you just wandering. You just at that job till, I don't know, till you, I guess till you get fired or till you die. You know what I'm saying? You just at this place, you don't have no reason to be there. That end up the place that get shot up and stuff like that. That end up being a place that you meet somebody who you end up taking home, and then it leads to 18 years of being miserable. You know what I'm saying? Or I said 18, but a whole lifetime being miserable, because now you done connected to that person. You end up having a family with that person, but this person be your mortal enemy the whole time. All because you was aimless, all because you didn't really have no purpose. And so you was just in places for no reason. You know what I'm saying? When you start developing that purpose and that reason, already you develop protection. But then the next phase of that, the next step of that, because nobody really talk about the next step of that. Like, yeah, okay, you got a purpose. Now what? Now you have to develop the mentality that can protect that purpose. That can, because we hear all the times of people who had dreams but then gave up on them. People who had goals and stuff like that when they was young, they wanted to be this, that, and the third. They had all these plans, but due to them not developing the mentality that can pair and help them not only manifest but materialize what it is that they wanted to see for themselves, they fell short. They allowed the next person to give them the idea that, yeah, maybe that's not it. And sometimes, you know, that, and again, even if you are going, so let's say you are going through a situation in time right now where people come into you and maybe don't see what you see. And if you allow them to distract you or to convince you that you wasn't seeing what you was seeing, you know, you kind of, that's sad. That's tragic. You know what I'm saying? Don't allow that to happen. You know, don't allow that to happen. Now, you also need to be real with yourself to see when things aren't working. And see, that's where the energy also currently that we're going through comes in hand, because we're seeing Chiron. We're seeing the North Node too. So we're seeing those mistakes. We know what the cycles are. This is a heavily karmic year in the sense of you have the opportunity to either break the cycle and move to that next phase, or you could slip right back into darkness. You could slip right back into that coma, because this is what happens anytime also with an infrastructure change. And see, the thing about it is right now it's internal, but later on, the more we're in this new world and new space, it's going to become more physical. It's going to be more physical representations of restrictions that you're going to have to go through if you don't do the work now. If you do the work now internally by developing that mentality, preparing for war, getting yourself ready, when these physical things come, you'll already be on track to manifest something completely different. You know what I'm saying? Because what we believe motivates reality. That's what's going to happen. So if your belief system is fucked, your reality is going to be fucked. And it's like, we all trying to get to that end goal. We all trying to see better results for ourselves. But it's like, it's always going to be a constant battle with yourself to even, it's like, how do I explain it? I mean, I think at this point, y'all already know it. It's like, I just said it, you know what I'm saying? It's just like what you believe ends up being reality, not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? When you looking at reality, it's already solidified. It's already something that didn't spend. It's like, it's that way because you spent so much time in a certain space mentally. So, you know, that should remind you that, damn, I really do have the power of this. I really do have the power to kind of shift things in this direction and transform things like this and do like that. You know what I'm saying? I really do actually have that access to it. And you have to maintain that. You have to remind yourself constantly. Like I said, every day you wake up, it's like, okay, well, what am I finna do with my energy today? And every day is an opportunity to get better. And like I said, it's impossible to maintain a certain high energy level and expect it. Like when you have a really good day, you wake up on the right side of the bed, everything seemed to be in alignment. Yeah, it's easy to make the plans on those days. It's easy to say, yeah, I'm finna do this. It's easy to dream on these days. It's easy to all that shit. It's easy to believe. It's easy to have faith. But then there's those days that really put you in that space where you looking at God like, yo, I thought we was cool. What happened? You know what I'm saying? You looking at God like, why are you doing this to me? And God not doing shit to you. It's all happening through you. You experiencing life. You know what I'm saying? Life is happening through you. So you have to look at it like just another part of the game. Like, yo, this is just part of the flow. And it really be those times that really show you who you are anyway. Because it's like, if you fold in those times, it don't matter what's given to you in the good times. You bound to fold when it gets real. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and see, the more, and that's part of that cycle too. Because once you start to master being able to manage yourself on those levels, it don't really, like, that's how you really know you're on track to break a cycle. When stuff starts to get difficult and you're able to still put pieces together and put yourself where you need to be at, regardless of what's going on. And that's what we all really need to be working towards. And see, this type of, and this is a part of that shadow work. You know what I'm saying? Moon and Scorpio, what better time to do shadow work? You know, because this is bringing up deep rooted feelings. So again, you might be an individual who's unaware. And see, this, like when you look at this alignment, it's really powerful for putting a magnifying glass on what's going on internally, because you got the sun in the space to be exalted. So right now with the sun exalted in Aries, there's a heightened ability to really see and pierce through reality. And if we turn that magnifying glass internally, like we turn it around and we look deep inside of ourselves, we can start to really get to the core of what's motivating us anyway. What's motivating us to be intentional about this, and why we need to be intentional, where we can redirect that intention where we can redirect that intention in order to be more, you know, be more thorough in whatever reality or whatever we're experiencing at the moment. Now, the moon opposite Jupiter, again, you might not get it though. You might not see it. It might not make sense. But see, the moon sliding into Sagittarius will start to make more sense. See, if you go through the actual death of whatever it is that you might have been holding on as a grudge, and see, these are just emotional remnants of old ways of seeing the world, what you was comfortable in, old comfort zones. If you're able to kind of transform those things, the transition into Sagittarius now looks like a whole new world. It looks like, oh damn, like I didn't even see. It's almost like you putting glasses on for the first time, and let's say you couldn't see for real. Everything was blurry. You was moving through the darkness, but now you can flick the lights on. So the moon in Sagittarius trining the sun in Aries next to Chiron in the North Node is kind of like, it's going to all make sense by tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's going to all start to make sense, where now you can see a bit clearer. But see, what'll happen is, if you don't do the work now of preparing for war, and like I said, developing that mentality that's actually going to protect you on your path, you're going to be in a situation where the things that you become aware of might just feel like a cage more than your fate, or I say destiny, right? It'll start to feel more like a cage than your spiritual path. It'll start to feel more like a cage than what your purpose is supposed to be. Because that's the difference. Like, even when we think about Sagittarius energy, the ninth house, like, we know that the dynamic of it is escapism versus, you know, faith and the ability to travel far. And think about, like, that whole concept of traveling far within something, right? In the Sagittarius sense as well. That energy in and of itself is like, when you really think about it, right? That energy of being able to travel for a long distance travel in a mind, that's supposed to be an enjoyable process. You know, that's supposed to be like something like when you want to, when you know, think about when you really thinking about the things that you enjoy in life and stuff like that. When you sitting back and you thinking about things you want to think about, it's like you can't even exhaust yourself mentally. You can go as far as you want in that. You know what I'm saying? That'd be the best daydreams. Like when you could just sit back and daydream for real, and you thinking about something you want to think about, and it's like, damn, you can go far. But you can go just as far as something negative. But when you going far in something that you want to think about, you know, like how they say, like the sky ain't even the limit. It's like, damn, I can go on and on. Like, that's kind of the beauty of the ninth house energy. That's and when we think about the ninth house being related to spirituality, faith, God, even, you know what I'm saying, religion. And you know, when we think about religion, we know that's just a you know, a boxed version of the limitlessness of spirituality. You know what I'm saying? That's just like that's a boxed version. But the ninth house in general, long distance travel, is supposed to be something, again, you're either escaping from something on the negative end, or you're diving into something to experience it, but through the mind. You know what I'm saying? Being able to experience it through the mind and through the vision. And see, right now it's like what this energy leading up to the new moon is like, again, you planting seeds, but everything is, it's almost like, if you really think about it, cause I'm trying to like get the full feeling of like the times we in, you know what I'm saying? Because the times we in, this is the time to really step out and do something that the world ain't seen. Like, I don't know, it's like, it just seemed like before this, things were so locked into one way. You know what I'm saying? It was like celebrities that people would look up to, and it almost seemed like it was untouchable. Within the last 4 years, we seen that shit completely crumble. So it's like this open space, and it's only a matter of time before there's going to be a new, like, invisible plateau that people can't seem to, a threshold that people can't seem to pass. So it's like, it's just real important right now that we step in and play that position. We step in and take over that realm. You know what I'm saying? So that we can start living how we supposed to be living, instead of living in this cycle and shit like that, where everybody got to spend tremendous amount of time and shit that they just don't belong. You know what I'm saying? We could be doing so many other things, but instead, you know, we find ourselves, and really I'm speaking on just the mental illness and the trauma that comes from having to do things in the world that we just don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? And not to sound, you know, like when I say don't want to do, it's like I'm not even trying to sound childish in a sense, because sometimes that sounds a little childish, like, oh, I just don't want to do that. But it's like things that tap into your God, your real gifts and abilities. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are just spending so much time doing things that's just not applied to our real gifts and abilities, that it starts to become depressing. It starts to become like, damn, like, what's really going on? You know what I'm saying? We be looking in the mirror like, damn, how's my potential being, you know, it starts to feel like, man, my potential being wasted during this time at this place that I don't want to be at. You know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, right now, it's just energies that we can utilize to plant seeds to create, again, break a cycle from that. Break a cycle where it's like, now we start to look at the new age of setting the tone and doing more of what it is that we want to be doing, rather than spending time at somebody else's shit building their world. and stuff like that, you know. But for the most part, like this moon energy, like I said, it's good for diving deep within yourself. You're preparing war by developing that mentality to actually go forward with your purpose in a way that's more effective, in a way that look like that keeps you protected throughout it, so that you can build and establish something for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then as we continue on in this age of Aquarius, building a community, coming together in different ways, what we unlock for ourselves is what we also open the opportunity to unlock for others. So in the sense of each one teach one, you know what I'm saying? The further deep we go within ourselves, that becomes the more things we're able to show and put other people on. And see, that starts to become a beautiful union too, because you don't know everything. One person can't know everything. One person can only know what's revealed to them through their piece of all possibilities. You know what I'm saying? It's good to be open so that you can catch new things, but really everything is still being filtered through your experience, through your perspective. You know what I'm saying? So we need each other too, to be able to expand more awareness of what could possibly be. And that goes back to what I was just saying too, about all, you doing your due diligence by being yourself in the world, playing your role, playing your position. It's like we need, you know what I'm saying? That shit is needed. It's needed for you to be yourself in these spaces. But what I see and what I'm, and I put that going to war with yourself, but also on the external end, what you're really going to war with too is everything that works to put people in those spaces. Because it really do be the trauma that come from what it is that we subjected to. You know what I'm saying? It comes from the trauma of having to get up every day and go, spend a tremendous amount of time in a place that isn't catered to actually making you better, isn't catered to actually teach, you know what I'm saying, showing you, you know what I'm saying, expanding you. Instead, it's teaching you how to follow a process that is going to uphold their world, uphold their mindset, you know what I'm saying? And it teaches you to neglect your own mindset for the sake of adopting what the world needs you to think about. But there's things that God is trying to filter through you that creates that conflict. Like, wait, what do I choose? It's the thing that I'm deep inside passionate about, that I know I'm supposed to be doing. But then there's the responsibilities I have to uphold something that I didn't even have a hand in build. Like, I wasn't I wasn't in the conversations of how this shit should work. So why is it my responsibility to uphold it? You feel me? Like, that's how society be feeling at times. Like, you going to a job, you paying taxes. Again, I'm not bitching about, it's not bitching about the work itself. It's saying, well, shit, I really ain't have no say in how this shit was going to be developed. So why is it my responsibility to uphold it? Instead, I want to apply my abilities to something I actually want to see built. Because if it was some shit I built, I would actually have an impact on it. You know what I'm saying? It would be things that I could go in and I could do and spend my time in that would make more sense than me just doing some other shit like that has nothing to do with my abilities and stuff like that. But see, I always, again, at this time in life, I think we all in situations right now where we have to acknowledge those things that we might not want to be doing, but is helping us sustain ourselves at the moment, and is creating the opportunity for us to build up to where we can be in that position. You know what I'm saying? But that frustration, we could use that to motivate us, but don't use it to crash out. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us might be on that edge too. This type of energy too could be making you want to just crash out and say, man, fuck that job entirely, or fuck this entirely, fuck the process entirely. You know what I'm saying? Because the moon is opposite. See, the moon being opposite Jupiter and Taurus is kind of that energy as well. It's like you not being able to connect to the wisdom of the experience and the experience itself that you're going through. And see, the experience itself is in a fixed earth sign. So what we emotionally might be opposing at the moment is what is creating stability. So we do got to kind of create that balance and chill out. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I'm playing out right now. I'm just playing out the energies themselves, that kind of conflict where what we're up against and why it's important to prepare for war. But we have to be strategic though. The moon motivates the sun. So it's like the moon is strategic. It needs the sun to be strategic. Now, it's still being played out in an Aries way. So we still going to be fiery. It's still going to be a spark. It's still going to look like planting seeds, but we can still do it in a way that looks constructive, look like you giving birth to something rather than necessarily trying to destroy something. And if you are trying to destroy things, make sure you're destroying those parts within yourself that makes it difficult for you to build things. Destroy the parts of yourself that gets in the way of you actually making a better tomorrow for yourself. Go to war with what's creating conflict in relationships where it might not need to be that way. You know what I'm saying? What part of me creates a wall between me and the people, places, and things I'm trying to connect with? What part of me do I need to go to war with that makes it difficult for me to maintain the confidence to do what I do at a high level consistently? What do I need to go to war with within me that makes me not believe I'm capable of doing the thing that I dream about all day long? You know what I'm saying? These are the different things that we got to go to war with. Deep psychological shit that can help create more space. Because see, when you kill shit mentally, you create more space. And that's the opportunity to fulfill that space with better thoughts, better feelings, better ways of being. That's again gonna look more like protection around your protection mentality, a mentality that protects you as you are going through your purpose. Because it's not easy, you know what I'm saying? It's not supposed to be. That's why I said it's not about bitching about the work. The work is not even the hard part. Like, ironically, you know what I'm saying? It's like the work ain't even the hard part. It's the mentality that gets you in the space to handle the work. The mentality that puts you in the space to even pay attention and focus enough to know what is work and what's not necessary. Because sometimes we fulfill our space with stuff that ain't even work that we necessarily need to be doing. That shit not even really work. It's like, why am I, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ever had a project and say the project is for school and it's like you got to write an essay, and then part of that essay though is you also have to do something like I don't know, organize your sources. So you spend all this time, you may, instead of just writing the paper, right, which is the actual work, you did something that wasn't even part of the work, or was a part of the work but such a small piece that's insignificant that you're really just wasting time. So you over here trying to organize your sources. I think this source should go here. I think this source could go here. But it's like the actual work itself is what's needed to get done to make progress in the actual project. So if you know what I'm saying? It might be a weird analogy, but if you look at life like that, like a lot of us might be making things up to be busy with that have nothing to do with the actual work needed to get in the position that we try to get in. You making all these excuses about the equipment you need instead of just recording with what you have, laying the song down and trusting your ability to just perform the song. Who cares if you don't know the next track coming after the song? Make the song. Maybe you'll just get the inspiration for what the next track needs to be. And I mean that metaphorically. You know what I'm saying? When you come to life, again, you at that job and it's like, okay, yeah, get the check, but you don't worry about the job and how long you might be there. Remind yourself, shit, it's a check going towards me not having to work this job eventually. Maybe when I get the check, I'll know what to spend it on. That will look like me making a step towards me not having to work this job no more. You know what I'm saying? One thing Mars energy, especially Aries, is good for is simplifying shit. So when it comes to mistakes in your spiritual path, Chiron in the North Node, simplify that shit. It's time to pierce through the veil. Cut through that shit. Simplify it. If this is where I want to go, this is what I got to do. Leave it at that. Don't think about what type of work you're going to have to do in that direction. Don't think about what it's going to look like, how long it's going to take, all these other questions. All you need to know is what you finna do. Like what do you want to do? Okay, boom. This is where I'm going. What needs to happen in order for me to move in that direction? Everything after that is really just a byproduct of the first step you take. And again, in a lot of ways, so many ways, you take a step and God will take the next one. And then the next thing you know, you co-creating with the universe. That's what that looks like. Oh, I took a step, God took a step, boom, boom, boom. That's how you start to dance. But see, so often we start to dance and then we get giddy. And that's when I was saying just before, you start to stumble by trying to overstep, prematurely trying to go into a new space when you haven't developed the full grasp of the previous space you was in. It's steps for a reason. Like the invention of steps, they created it for a reason. You look at the actual mechanics of what steps look like. You know what I'm saying? This is talking about it. Yep. Habit trying to create the future ahead of time, which stimulates stress. Right. Like you induce stress upon yourself by thinking of something that it's like I was just saying. You look at the mechanics of steps. They made it that way because there's no other way to really to do it. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to one to get to the next one. Yeah, you might be able to skip one step, but think about the times when you was a kid, you tried to skip steps and you tripped and fell right back down. You know what I'm saying? That shit humble the fuck out of you when you try to run up steps and you fall all the way down. You be like, what the fuck? You say like, you get up real slow. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the house heard you fall. They're like, hey, you good? And you're like, yeah, I'm straight. You know, you walking and stuff like that, looking crazy. But you know, you know what I'm saying? I think it's like what you said, DX and I. You know, this Danny, I think, you know what I'm saying? But you know, yeah, you try to create the future ahead of time, you know, you are stimulating stress. And shout out to Grace Aquarius and Ross Slim. What up, Neb? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody here. Thank y'all for sliding through. I was talking for so long, I wasn't even thinking about the shout outs and shit, but shout out to y'all. But for real, you know, you create way more negative energy for yourself. It's really creating resistance, because that's when you start to think, you start to get too smart for your own good. You start to think that's when you start to go too far with your abilities, right? Because your spirit be knowing. So your spirit start to get egotistical a little bit when things start to work out. And you be like, oh, I can see what's coming. And you start to think you can, you know, prepare yourself. But it's like you have to always keep yourself in that middle ground space to know that, no, the present, you know what I'm saying? How we always be saying, the present right there. You know what I'm saying? You said, and even further, it's like when the reality don't match up with what they created in the mind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, real shit. You know, and it can't. You can't, what you have in your mind, it's not going to look like that. It's not going to look like that. So you already set yourself up to trip over what it is that you're trying to create for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that to yourself. And we all do it by default on accident, but just catch yourself when it happens and remind yourself to kind of be in the present, you know, because it's just, when you think about it, the magic of what worked in the first place was you just going with the present. A lot of times we start things off in that present space, and that's what makes it work. And then we start to try to predict, and then, you know, that's when we just creating problems for ourselves. But you know what I'm saying? Real shit. It's all about the present. But going back to the astrology, like when we think about the moon, and so the moon is about 18 degrees. We about 8 degrees Aries with the sun. So we finna get into that second decan of Aries, which will be the Leo energy. So, you know, when we start to get to the 8th and 9th degrees, this is like when we start to hit a little bit of these, you know, Uranus and Neptune influences, where now you are in that space where it's time to kind of be picturing where it is that you want to take this energy, in terms of, like, you know, change what needs to change, you know, this kind of what needs to change, and then what we need to start to embody in order to start to create kind of like because I don't want to confuse people. Because when we like how you, if you got the Daystar planner, you'll know like around the 8th, 9th degrees, 17th, yeah, 17th, 18th, 19th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 27th, 28th, 29th. This is when we start to get to the outer planet influences on the days. Whereas like how, okay, yeah, we had a moon day. Today is what? Jupiter day, you know what I'm saying, on Thursdays, Fridays, Venus day. But when we start to get to the 7th, 8th, 9th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 27th, 28th, 29th, this is when we start to hit the Pluto, you know what I'm saying, Pluto influence, then Uranus, and then Neptune. You know, Pluto is on the 7th number, Uranus is on the 8th, and then on the 9th is Neptune. So as we hit the last few decans of the last few degrees of this decan of Aries, it's like, okay, take what you've been trying to plant seeds in. Now you need to apply a lot more of those changes. You need to be making these micro adjustments in order to get you back on track with, you know, and it's coming from the sun. It's like what you're paying attention to. So you already been seeing the mistakes. You already been moving in your spiritual path. Now it's time to actually apply those little micro adjustments in your behavior, in your actions, and also how you see things. Again, even Aries itself is the initiation of a new way of seeing and feeling about it anyway. So you have to redirect how you're feeling about what you're seeing. So whether it be mistakes, whether it be and then also your spiritual path in general. Again, this is a great time to direct that change energy, aka go to war with anything that looks like stuff that's been holding you back, as far as concepts, beliefs, even trying to predict certain things, certain habits, because that's a habit that of trying to predict the future is a habit most humans have, like most people have, just by wanting to, like, again, it's what they say, human nature to want to shit. It's human nature to want to want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's human nature to want to know what's going to it's human nature to want to know what is it? It's like, I guess, yeah, expect what's going to happen tomorrow. So even that becomes a habit, and that even comes from trauma too. You know what I'm saying? When you live in day to day, certain things are going on, especially if you live, like, let's say you grew up and you had a living situation that wasn't stable. You know, you had a living condition that was always changing and stuff like that. It'd be like traumas that even come from that. Or if you went through a certain relationship in which every day there was a new emotional thing for you to kind of leap over, like you had a partner who was always spontaneous, or you couldn't read them. It was no consistency or no stability when it comes to emotionally on how they was acting towards you. Like these things also develop trauma of wanting to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, or and really a lot of it is like taking control. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that comes from you just wanting to control things. You want to control the outcome. And all of these come from desires. You know what I'm saying? Desires. You want to ensure that a desire is going to be fulfilled. So you want to know that you can predict exactly how it's going to play out. I can, control the circumstances, control the people in them, control how they're going to act and how you're going to react to it. You ever sat in front of a mirror and went through a conversation like, yeah, this is how the conversation going to go. And then you get into that conversation and again, it throw you all the way off, because it's like, damn, I didn't expect that, and that's some of the scariest moments, because yeah, you, and that sense of safety that it creates is a false one. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all what you think, though. It keeps you safe in your own mind, but you start to realize that when you're interacting with the world, being safe in your mind, it really, if you created false safety in your mind, it's kind of like backwards. It's like people try to get safe in the mind to do things in the external world, and it backfires. It's almost like you have to know how to be comfortable in the present, in your body, almost like know how to bring your mind to your body, or allow your spirit to be in your body, to create the trust within yourself to handle certain situations, to know how to act as they come. Also, the sun, like when we think about the North Node energy, putting you in that spiritual mode energy, those be the energy, like that be the time, like things happen on instant that you have to create a thought and feeling in that moment. Those are the things that even relate to the spiritual path. So a lot of what we even experiencing or seeing and have to act on is what it would be like to just create that thought and feeling on the spot. So, you know, these are the types of things that we got to be pushing ourselves into, and that we got to basically just be willing to um operate and navigate on, you know. But part of it, where the moon comes in, is just this is giving us a direct link to know the emotional process behind this, to know like, okay, how do you prepare yourself? And that's doing the shadow work to kind of just be aware of like, okay, damn, this is where I emotionally trigger myself, because those triggers lead to those desires to be well, those triggers will lead to you wanting to be safe in those moments. Those triggers is what probably those triggers come from the traumas that put you in the space to feel like you even got to protect yourself. So that is going to come off like you wanting to predict that, you wanting to control this, control that, you wanting to hide away in your mind to create safety. But then, you know, you realize a good, like, one thing my Saturn return has been showing me is like, you can neglect reality all you want, but you have to learn how to navigate it. There's no way to live life in this world without knowing how to engage properly with reality. And, you know, especially when you on your spiritual path early on, I also don't even know if this is like a, you know how people be like, well, back in my day, shit, when I was first getting into my spiritual path, it might be different for people trying to get into their spiritual path within the last couple years. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that might even be a concept in and of itself. But what I remember is early on, the spiritual path, like when you on it, is all about, you know, you going, you know, it's that time you spend in going within yourself, right? So you going within yourself, and you learning all these different things, and you're going so deep into yourself that you kind of forget about the outside world, you know, which makes sense, because that's what we start to understand is real, our internal world. And we start to do those shadow works and stuff like that. But once you get to a certain point with shadow work internally, and it's always a constant thing, but it seems like there comes a time where there's only so much shadow work you can own. It's like it's a balance thing. You do all that shadow work internally. It's not just to say, oh, I know what's going on inside of me. It's to know how to bring it out of you. It's like you don't just do all the internal work to keep it internal. In fact, I'm starting to see it's like you do the internal work so that you can resurface it and give it back to the world. And that becomes your, that's how you kind of live a balanced life. The first part of the spiritual journey, was, it seemed more like that. Like you just dive into yourself, and it puts you in that space where, okay, now I'm so good inside of myself. Now what? And it's like the next step has to be able to properly know how to properly engage with the world, because why else would you even be here? You know what I'm saying? And that to have relationships, healthy ones, to fix relationships that didn't quite go well. You know what I'm saying? Like we have all these parent relationships and stuff like that. Like we have to, and not everybody in a different space too, because again, not all relationships necessarily need to be reconciled. And that's also I was gonna put in the title too. This energy is a bit of emotional reconciliation. Like in so many ways, part of bringing things outside is, like I said before, having healthy relationships that are new, but also going back to those relationships that are reconcilable, and creating, you know, and I'm not talking about like just any and everybody. I'm talking about the people in your life that maybe raised you, maybe even, you know, that raised you, maybe even caused trauma by accident. You know what I'm saying? Those people that obviously care about you, but due to them not knowing themselves and you not knowing better to create boundaries, the relationship may have gone through ups and downs that led to trauma on both ends, or maybe one-sided. You might feel it's one-sided, but I feel like a lot of times it always is both-sided. Like for instance, your parents might have created trauma within you, but, or, you know, y'all went through traumatizing situations. They might feel just as much that trauma that you do, just in a different space, because they're, you know, older. their mind was in a different space of, or reasoning as wise, they, say they had their mind was in a different space, so they had a different reasoning as to why it played out that way from their perspective, and vice versa. You was a child, or you was however old, and your mind was in a different space, and that's where your trauma developed. So as you go within yourself, it creates the strength to now bring that back up, and you can get that reconciliation in a healthy way. You can reestablish those relationships to start to actually put practice into healing. Because like I keep on saying, it became a trend to be like, oh, I'm in my healing phase. But so many people is still in that phase where it's like, okay, we need to start making movements to say, okay, I'm healed in this. And part of being healed is saying, okay, it's time to take whatever that was. And even if I'm still shaky on it, I need to start to apply myself and my energy and my presence as if I am healed in that space. So many people be carrying that phase, and take your time. Everybody needs to take their time with whatever it is, but you have to decide when you're gonna stand up and be like, okay, I'm over that. Even if it's still something that brings a trigger every now and then, I'm over that. Meaning when it comes and presents itself, it might just be a new layer or a new level that I have to maybe be aware of and overcome to add to my journey. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an ongoing process, but we have to put what we've developed to test. At some point, we have to wrap it up and say, okay, I'm gonna take this and apply it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, I've been healing. This is my process. I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, boom, I'm healed. I'm gonna take myself out into the world and apply it. Because if you don't apply it, you don't really know if it's actually healing. You know what I'm saying? People can go through that healing phase for years and eons and eons. But like, again, like I was saying before about work that's not directed in the right area. You was doing all this work, but when you put it to test, it didn't carry the result. It didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Dario. But it didn't do anything. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it wasn't the right kind of work. It wasn't work in the area that was actually needed. And so many times we finesse ourselves. We be finessing ourselves based upon what we know we can get away with. That's how you be your own worst enemy a lot of times. You can get away with not doing the actual work and just doing something that looks like keeping you busy. You know what I'm saying? It's the difference between just being busy and actually doing work, if you really think about it. So you know how to finesse yourself. It's like, oh, I was just busy all day. But what work did you did done? What goals have you accomplished in that? What did you check off the checklist? You know what I'm saying? And I know all about that shit, being a Pisces with a with a somebody with Virgo influences, because the Virgo influences is like, wait, what did you actually check off the checklist? The Pisces influence is like, well, I was there and I was doing work, you know what I'm saying? But what did you accomplish? What goal did you hit? You know what I'm saying? What box did you check off? You know what I'm saying? If you didn't check off a box, you was just busy. You know what I'm saying? You still, you know what I'm saying? How much work did you really do? Even if you feel exhausted, if you feel tired, you might have just been doing busy stuff, keeping yourself busy. And sometimes we do that to keep ourselves from doing the work. If we give ourselves a million things to do before we can get started, it feels like we're making progress without making progress. That's how we be finessing ourselves for real. But it's real. That's why, like I said before, you got to be aware of the distractions too. There's so many ways we could be distracted, and before you know it, you done created a situation where it's like, you done distracted yourself to the point where it's like, damn, um, you think you doing work, you think you making moves, but you really not moving nowhere. Darius said, yeah, if we keep on staying in the healing phase without healing in this lifetime, we come back into situations that will reawaken the thing that we still need to heal from. Exactly. Exactly. You just, and it goes back to the very beginning of the video, where it's like you are either creating reality or reacting to it. You create a life of being in that phase by not deciding that you are in a new phase. It's like tricky because when you're going through it first, it feels like this is all that life is at the moment. When you go through the pain, yeah, that's what it is at the moment. But you know, and then after so much time in that space, you start to think that's the norm. And it really don't be. You know what I'm saying? You start to think that's the norm. And you have to decide when to create a new reality for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we just, again, it's so comfortable, it's so easy to be in that same feeling. But again, when you find yourself starting to get depressed, now you know, oh, that's why I've been in one feeling, in one space for too long. I just need to get some movement. And again, it'd be hard to move because everything, you done sets everything up. Being in that rut, you done set everything up to be comfortable in that space, in that pocket. And once you get comfortable in that pocket, it's hard to convince yourself why you need to make a new shape, why you need to make a new pocket, why you need to, you know what I'm saying? Because everything you do is gonna revert your body right back to that same pocket. And you gotta really put in work to realign what was comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And then that's why, to be truly happy, you need to be creating movement in your life emotionally. And then from that emotion, anything we do internally, we need to figure out ways to bring it back out. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to think that's kind of the flow of it. As deep as we go in, we need to start getting deep out. You know what I'm saying? Don't just be a recluse. Don't just take everything that you've learned and keep it tucked down. We have to figure out how to give it back. You feel me? You feel me? But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, hop off. Appreciate y'all sliding through. You know what I'm saying? This was longer than I expected, but I was trying to get to that point, and I had to keep on getting deeper into it. But you know, for the most part, like I said, the moon gonna be in Sagittarius soon, so I'll probably just do a live for that one. Let me just go ahead. I'll probably set it up. I think I'm gonna just set it up for the moon in Sagittarius. So I'll see y'all on that one. Much love. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.